Oh, no! I'll drink it anyway.
Surprise, everyone. Surprise. Surprise, it's a handsome post game. We decided, boil it down, doing an hour solo. You've all soldiered through enough.
Exactly. You guys have dealt with me for long enough.
And we felt like, the only fair thing was to bring back the varsity team. And so here we are. Of course, you're watching this live, so I don't really need to introduce us. Our names are right there. Our pseudonyms are right there on the bottom of the screen.
But still, there are some people that are going to listen to it. So why not?
Are there people still listening?
Anish looks at analytics, I bet. I don't know how many people listen.
I actually think more people listen than watch, but it's closer now to a 50-50 split. Shout out to
it used
all
to be all listening, very few watching, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys do anything tonight? Did you guys watch anything tonight?
We had a nice dinner. My family and I, we had Mexican. It was good.
Well, Purdue was on tonight, but they weren't on network television.
Right. So I just assumed nobody wanted to watch. So, yeah.
So Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer are now 1-2 against IU in their careers. So that's good.
They got some ass kicking to make up for.
You've got to start somewhere. You always got to start somewhere, right? So it's a good first win to have.
So why didn't? Can you guys tell me why Braden Smith didn't come to Assembly Hall? Do you know?
It's just like when they used to forget to pack Haas's arms, and you should say, or they didn't assemble them correctly.
It's the assembly is difficult. That's the tricky part.
2 for 14 for the young man out of Westfield. Or out of Arkansas via.
He had like 8 assists, I think.
Oh my gosh, killed it that way. The dude was awesome distributing, but man, he missed so many layups. That's the thing that's frustrating, right? It's not so much missing J's, but missing layups. That's it. That's stuff he does in his sleep, and that's unusual. So, but here's the big story, guys. Zach Edey, good.
Is he? Is 30? Yeah. What is it? 33 and 14? Is that a good? Is that a good
tall?
Line? Yeah,
just tall.
Is that,
yeah.
By the way, a couple nice up and unders, a couple like pivots, and like in the air, it's like double-digit free throws.
And he's fouled every time.
7-4 guy.
And I'm not trying to be a homer here, but he is. Even when they're not calling it, he's sometimes like grabbed like by the shoulder and like pulled back, and it's like
he really made his hay tonight, made his difference in the game on cleaning up messes, right? Because how many plays were an IU player ripping one arm, him dropping the ball on the floor, having to go down and get it, IU players trying to get him stepping through, fighting them off, hitting something ugly and sloppy. It was awesome. And to really lead by action, him diving on the floor for that loose ball. That was
like 17 or 18 points and
exactly.
there was 5 or 6 minutes to go.
Game is well in hand, but he's still hustling because it's been a while since he's beaten IU. I mean, let's be honest, he's still got a winning record against them, but it's been a while since he's beaten IU. It was just really nice of Zach to put on a show for the Hoosiers.
It was. That's nice. Their fans love good basketball, I'm told.
Exactly. They're smart. We're told.
Great fans. Great fans.
They're classiest fans. And the best fans in all the world.
They know.
I know we'll get to the comments eventually, and I don't want to get derailed, but Ed Albanese says that J Money does not know what he's talking about. And I feel like that's just an evergreen
is that
sort of
be specific, because we agree. Everyone agrees. And
that can work. That's one of those that whenever you're like short a headline, just put that up.
Right.
Just throw that one up there.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. That was fun. The first half was really fun. IU looked like a different
team.
That
last 10 minutes was really, really fun too, though. The last 10 minutes was real fun.
Well, what I would say to people who were nervous, and I'm sure you guys were among them, when things looked like they were coming apart a little bit. First of all,
never did I get nervous tonight. You can ask. I didn't get nervous.
Really? Well, for those that did,
I got pissed.
IU was also 4-2, same conference record, and the reason you build big leads, especially in a road environment where you've had trouble winning, is so you can withstand that push. And the thing that I think more basketball you watch, the more you will see this. A team exerts so much to get back in the game, right? And they closed it to single digits, and that's their chance, right? That moment when they got it to 9, if you bomb a 3 there or something and you break Purdue's back, then maybe you've got a chance. But if you don't do it right there and Purdue pushes it back up as they did, it's gone. It's
Yeah.
gone because you're not going to close a 15 to 20 point lead twice in a half. You're never going to do that, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's why I always say to people, that's why you build big leads, right? So that you can.
Yeah, it's just like when you're playing a tough team that's like a stalwart at home, like Nebraska, and you come back and you tie it up,
Or Northwestern.
or Northwestern. Yeah, what do you expect? By the way, so I'm getting my producers telling me there's a lot of background noise. Right when I got off, got on here. It's like my family decided to have a wrestling and shouting match in the next room, which is great. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I'll see if.
The bit for IU, the comeback was, I mean, it was halftime. They were coming out of halftime, and that was good. But when they got their two forwards actually play their front court playing together, that's when they actually made a run. When they weren't in foul trouble, like that's when they struggled to box up or to match up against Edey. That was the game. I mean, the longer that they could keep Ware and Mbako, on the court at the same time, and Purdue wasn't hitting threes at the beginning of the second half. Like that was the only way that IU was going to stay in this. IU was not a good 3-point shooting team, and they really showed it in Dowd's favorite part of the game, which is the final 10 minutes. Like they
Water
when you
finding
get
its
down
level,
there,
right? That's
that's
it.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, and they shoot a ton of threes.
Yeah.
And they can't make them. Now they're getting that. That is not a good. I'm going to tell you analytically, that's not a good mix.
That's not good.
The BS analytics.
Yeah.
Exactly. But like they're kind of they're resetting. I'm glad to never see Jalen Hood-Schifino in a crimson and cream jersey again. That dude is bad. He destroyed Purdue, and especially those guards. Like he won the battle of the freshman guards last year, obviously. But Lance Jones, we began it with Braden Smith, right? Yeah, we began it with Braden Smith, not maybe having his best night, but it was still probably a C effort. Like I think he was still good. Like he still set things up well. He couldn't shoot. That was a problem.
Is that an important part of the game? I wasn't. Yeah.
But Lance Jones, man, it is good to have that safety valve. It's good to have that assurance. And also, I mean, Boiler Dad, you were talking about this in the group chat during the game. I mean, just his pace during the game is so fun and such a needed dimension. I mean, we've been talking.
Well, in
about
the
this
second half, right, and that 10 minutes, the catalyst of making that kind of all come on was two Lance Jones plays where he just kind of drove right into the heart of them, right? One of them was a fast break where I think he beat everybody back, and he could have pulled back. I think there were two IU players in a back pedal. Tell me if I'm misremembering. And he went straight to the basket and finished. We can all recognize. Here's the thing: you can do both of these things. You can recognize the fact that he's a streaky shooter, and maybe shoots a bit too much, and also say he's extremely integral to this offense being successful because of the pace. That pace, the way he attacks, the way he doesn't relent, the way he seemingly is conscienceless, correct. When Purdue is playing well, like I wish he would bring a little bit more of that attitude when things start squirming around a little bit. Because sometimes you need somebody to wake you up just with saying, "Okay, I'm going to go to the hoop and I'm going to draw a foul."
But
right?
he was a big part of stemming that run that IU made. Which we knew. I mean, Jay Money, like you were saying, Assembly Hall is a great venue. IU does not fall asleep for rivalry games in Assembly Hall. Say what you want about them, and especially under Woodson, they just don't they get up for this. And so you knew that the run was coming, and Lance Jones was a huge part. Lance Jones in transition, Lance Jones making smart decisions, and being not being hesitant was a huge part of stemming that, right? And then obviously, it helps to have at least so far, the back-to-back National Player of the Year. First back-to-back National Player of the Year if all goes to plan in 30 years, something like that. What Ralph Sampson, 35 years, pretty good to have, pretty good safety.
That's like 40 years, I think.
That's almost 40 years because that's
Yeah.
early 80s, right? Yeah.
I think it was early 80s. Is that right? Is
gracious.
Sampson the last back-to-back one?
Sampson, well,
Yeah.
if you go by AP, because there were I think Hansborough won it, but it was different. It was like Sporting News and AP, and they were split. The first time it was consensus, AP was
Hansborough's a good answer, though. He was for a
beast,
collegiate
man.
player. He was
Beast.
an incredible college player.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
That's a good comparison.
It's so stupid to have to. I mean, you don't have to say this. Purdue fans know this, but it's worth saying over and over again. Like we might be watching the best player in Purdue basketball history. I mean, like that's
Well, I sat next to somebody at the game, and I said this last year. I said to the kid's grandpa, because it was a young guy, and he said, I think Glenn Robinson is the best Purdue player ever. I said, I'm with you there. I said, but I said, this Edey guy, he said he's got a real argument right now. He's got an argument, and if he wins it back to back, he's absolutely the best player ever.
I mean, he could be back to back. He could be. There's an inside shot. Not even an inside shot. Like, there's almost a guarantee if he stays healthy, knock on every piece of wood that you have, that he finishes second in all-time Purdue points. He's probably there is a.
I thought he was closer than that. I thought they flashed that up, and it looks like
it's going to be really close to one, and it's going to
Yeah.
have to take a couple of tourney games,
He
more
passed
than
Carson
one tourney
tonight.
game.
surprised. That one surprised me.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
That's incredible. It's incredible because he really wasn't much of a scorer his freshman year.
But neither was Carson. That was the
Carson though he had big games as a freshman year. Edey didn't have many big
he?
games. Did he? Yeah, I think.
He had
I
good
thought as a
individual
freshman he
games.
got throttled a lot. I thought
He did.
that year.
He did. It was inconsistent, but the highs were high, lows were
He got benched a lot by
Yeah.
We may remember that.
By the way, since one of the things I think we talked about one of these other games, maybe when Purdue had like just a dominant performance, or maybe it wasn't us, maybe it was the field of 68. Somebody was talking about when Purdue has Edey, Smith, and Lawyer all going, like, what are you going to do? And then I saw someone turn that around a little bit, like, oh, but it's really just those three, and you're like, oh, okay, you've got three players that if they're all on, you're literally unbeatable. But tonight, Smith was not scoring.
Isn't that the formula, by the way, for every
of any team? Yeah,
ever?
if three of their players have great games and they're talented,
Gracious.
I mean,
If a majority of the players on the court are good, yes.
yes.
Right.
So, but I'm looking. I want to give a little credit here. So, not only did Zach have his game, but Lance, we already talked about 17 points, 2 steals. Strangely, only 1 assist and 1 rebound, but he was 7 of 12 from the field. And then Fletcher Laurel deserves a little bit of attention here in a tough road environment, scoring 19 points, 5 of 6 from the floor, 4 of 4 from deep, and 5 of 7 from the line. Now, we're not going to talk about the defensive end of the floor right now.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's the thing. Lawyer,
Not out there
but
for his
that's
defense.
the whole thing with Lawyer. We kind of know what we're going to get on defense, and there's not much we can do, right? As fans, you can't complain. It's just what he is, right? And I mean that. I'm not trying to put a guy down. I'm just saying there's only so much you can do unless you just start going Brian Cardinal or whatever and like bloodying yourself for loose balls, right? That really would take that type of
Which I don't think you want him doing.
I don't think he's the guy. His body can't take that sort of beat.
No, right.
But what you do want from him, I've been saying this, just hit open threes and everybody's going to be happy. And then when you sprinkle in a couple shots where you actually create, now you're like, oh, okay. And he did just that tonight. He had one play though on defense. I do want to address this because just to be fair, he had a play where it was a fast break for IU during that big run in the second half. Somebody is trying to pick up the guy who's breaking. Lawyer is already back under the basket. He sets up for a charge. Doesn't set up well for the charge. So he's kind of doing little baby steps backward, takes the Purdue defender out of the play, falls on the ground. The IU player hits a layup. I was like, oh, goodness, Fletcher. You're trying my patience, my brother.
Just don't knock down your teammates. Can we start
exactly.
there?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I asked for. That's all I asked for.
Yeah.
On the other end,
come on now.
But I love that. But the offensive effort was great.
Exactly.
It was huge, and Purdue absolutely needed as Smith stood over to the side and picked dandelions. I know he had assists. I know. Listen, I've been hard on Lawyer all
He
season.
had
You guys
9 assists and 6 rebounds and 2 steals, you jerk.
Yeah, you
He had a good
jerk.
game.
No, and you know what? I'll tell you one thing Smith did better than anybody on the court tonight, either team, is defending the passing lanes tonight was absolutely huge. He had a couple where he was anticipating so well
And just
what IU was about to do.
Yeah.
And he came and swiped a couple, like,
they
there was
were
one or
beautiful.
two that he came and swiped
Beautiful.
in the second half. Again, like
Someone
not
in-
as IU's
yeah.
making a run, but yeah.
Someone in the comments did make a comment that on the side did say somewhere back there that if, and this is a great point, and you could always play the if game, right? But he said if Smith has an average game, Purdue probably wins by 35, and that's probably a fair point. They won by 22, and Smith didn't shoot well. So, like, yeah, but you can't play that game. I'll tell you what you can't do, though, because if you had all 5 starters play have Trey Coffin-Rand play the game he did against Illinois, have Lawyer play tonight's game, have Edey play tonight's game, have Smith play one of those games at the beginning of the season where he almost had a triple-double. Now, yes, if all those things happen, Purdue would win against any team by 40. Seriously. By any team.
That's the funny thing. I mean, I know you guys have done this because you were junkies like I am, and you listen to Field of 68 and CBS and Sleepers. Like those are my go-tos when I want to feel real good. They're really good. They're really good. They're probably my favorite of the 3. But the funny thing is everybody universally says when Purdue's on, nobody's beating them, right? And we haven't seen perfect Purdue game yet.
We've seen a couple close in Maui. No,
I don't think we saw a perfect one there. I really don't.
Right,
I think they've won in the tank this year. I think they've won in the tank this year.
Oh, where just everybody hits their stride and
where
it's just hilarious.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I like Sleepers a lot. For some reason, those guys will not mention me by name. And we talk on Twitter, we talk on DM.
Oh, do you?
Yes. And they, by the way, they'll answer me on DM and then not talk about me on the show when I ask a question or when I make fun of them, when I get after them. And I'm like, sue them?
Sue them.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning to do. I've already got a good lawyer.
I was gonna reach out to you guys about we should have 1 or 2 of those guys on one of the shows sometime. If they're
I'd love to have
those guys, they're machines though. They are podcasting constantly.
This is what they do for a living, though. Kind of.
Is it?
Kind of.
Is it?
Well, kind of.
They're
One of
previewing
them lost his
every
job, so they're
previewing every significant game. They're post gaming every significant game. They're like, and it's not like it's a 5-minute preview. It's like between 15 and 30 minutes for previews and wrap-ups. It's impressive the amount of
legwork. Oh yeah, that's why I like them so much. And I mean, like I like. I mean, they're taking it seriously and they're entertained. The big thing that they're good at, they relate well with each other. Like that's the thing. I think I know you guys don't like relating with me. That's why we haven't had a get together in a while. But when we do, we're pretty good. Yeah, I know. There's lots of negotiations, a lot of things we gotta get right. So this is not a joke. So I'm going to address this. And I told a lot of people this is happening. Jay and I were trying to get a 2-man handsome hour because Anish couldn't come on towards the end of the week last week, if I'm remembering this correctly. We tried to put it together like 4 different ways.
Yeah, it's good.
And it couldn't work. Couldn't get it to work. It was
excellent.
Yeah.
So
I'm just happy. I'm happy to have both of these guys here.
You got to call tech support. Here is Dave from the BS Analytics desk. How many games do you think IU is favored in for the rest of the season via KenPom?
I mean, can I look at their schedule or do I just have to guess?
I mean, they've got a normal Big Ten schedule kind of ahead of them. No surprises.
They are going to be how many left roughly? Give me a ballpark. What are we at? Right? Purdue's 5 and 2-7.
Probably about
like 12, 13 games.
Yeah, 12, 13.
I say IU will be favored by KenPom in because you're asking. It's got to be low. I'm going to say
high.
I'm going to say no. It's not high. I don't think you wouldn't bring it up. I'm going to say 4 to 5. How about give me a little?
Okay. Boiler Dad, do you have a guess? How many games are they favored in? How many games is IU favored in for the rest of the season?
Per
KenPom. 3.
They are favored in 1 game, my friends.
Ooh.
And that's pre-Purdue loss.
That is 1 game. No, this is after the Purdue loss.
It's after there?
It's after the Purdue loss.
That's
the
cool.
Penn State game.
The computers are fast, man.
Penn State home game in State and Assembly Hall is the only favored to win. You hate to see it.
That includes, by the way, home games against Northwestern and Nebraska.
Yeah.
Just putting that out.
Hey,
Why is Justin in the conference room?
No, he's
Really-
he's in his
really-
panic room in one of his
Okay.
mansions. He's really
That's
he's hunkered down.
That's right.
So there's a lot of there's gun fighting happening
Debris
outside
everywhere.
the gates. Exactly. So he had to
It's
get
a
deep
safe
in the
room.
ground. So
No commitment yet. No commitment. So
yeah, people
No
are
commitment
noticing you're
announced?
wearing glasses, which is an
yeah, I
unusual
mean,
look.
it's just because I showered, so I wear glasses after I shower.
Yeah, I never shower any other
Once a week.
Once a
it's
week.
fine.
Once a week.
and put on the
there you
glasses
go.
right away.
There you go. You have to. I mean, you've got to have the commitment announcement for all of the lovely people on the
true.
stream.
Oh, hey, so we got big news. We got big news this week. He's officially accepted to Purdue. It happened.
Congrats! Hey, there we go.
Yeah,
That
so
would've
that's
been-
so
that
we're
would've
so
been
we're he's got a strong final two, and now we're waiting meetings and other things.
School of Mines. Is that
Yeah,
the other one?
That's a good school.
Bag. The size of the bag being dropped. Is,
Exactly. Got to see what
yeah.
that bag. That's why I keep. You guys know me. I'm always telling him
And
you got to wait for that bag.
I'm
You gotta
thinking
wait for that
about
bag."
Tennessee. I applied to them just in case they give me some extra McDonald's.
NIL contract.
Just a bag. Just a
Maybe.
bag of wadded up
Yeah.
10s, 20s.
You and their football coach both like McDonald's, I bet.
Yeah, that's true.
He enjoys it.
Oh, he loves it a lot. Well, so speaking of the Big Ten, guys, I'd like to get your perspective on something because it baffles me. It really, I'm not kidding. So teams like Nebraska beat Purdue, and then the next game, and they go and pee down their leg, right?
Yeah.
This is like the rhythm of the conference, right?
Yep.
Like you
not a
play a
great
good game, and then the next game you look like absolute dog meat. I just saw today. I can't remember who it was. One of the tournament prognosticators has only 6 Big Ten teams in. That's really unusual. It's been 8 the last few years. I think almost every year it's 8, right?
Oh, yeah, always.
And I think they're completely correct, right? Every time a team looks like they're getting rolling, they get beaten by someone horrible because every other game you're playing somebody horrible.
Yep. I mean, everybody.
Yeah.
There's Purdue, and then there's
And what's your question?
I just wanted to see if you guys have been paying attention to this. Maybe you guys can help me feel better about everything because it just makes me nuts. The idea that all Purdue can do is lose this season. Think
Yeah,
about it.
every time Purdue loses, the court is stormed. That answers exactly what you're saying. If
Yeah.
Purdue loses, there's a court storming, no
Right.
matter what.
There's
When was the last
nobody-
time it wasn't?
Now, how about this? Serious question. If Wisconsin beats Purdue at Cole, do they rush the court? I mean, they're 11th right now.
If
I'm
the
like,
first
they're
in the
11th.
first place, they're first place in the conference.
I know.
yes,
How asinine would that be?
They absolutely,
absolutely will.
rushed the court.
100%.
The fault here belongs to Tom Izzo, complaining Tom Izzo, because Michigan State was supposed to be the behemoth. They were supposed to be the guys. They were supposed to be the team that was favored, or at least about 50-50 shot with Purdue and Michigan State. And everybody else is like a normal Big Ten conference. There is no other heavyweight Big Ten right now. Like
So
Wisconsin
is
good.
Izzo? Let me ask
What?
you guys a question. You guys watch a lot of basketball. Is this it? Are we watching the foundation being shaken to its core? Or, I
For
mean,
what?
is that happening?
For
What do
Izzo,
you
like you think he'll walk away? You think he'll pull a?
Are you talking about Izzo?
No, is
Saban.
this the end of Michigan State as we know it? The dude's old and he's pissed off all the time. All he does is complain and compare it to
Yes.
the good old days
Correct.
over and over and over. Like, is it?
Always ever done.
Are his best days behind him? Is there
Yes.
no more Final Four in the tank?
I wouldn't
I-
say that.
I would be so they will always
still
bring
got bags, man.
as long as Izzo is there, they're going to bring in talent. And Izzo is a tournament coach. Izzo is a very good in-game coach that can win 4 games in the tournament. I mean, like that. Those are two
Great
things that
in-game
aren't going to
coach,
change,
yeah.
right? Like, I don't think he's going to win the Big Ten again. Like, I would.
I'm not sure he cares.
Exactly. I don't think he ever cared. I mean, that was something that we always talked about. That Painter always, prioritized the Big Ten, while Izzo always prioritized the tournament. Right. I don't think that he's ever going to win the Big Ten again. So in that sense, sure, I think that his best days are behind. Are behind him. But that team just brings in like that.
Oh, they got
outfit.
talent. They got. I mean, the kid
Always
from
been.
Cathedral who they got that decided Michigan State over Purdue. A lot of people think he's the best player in the league, the best freshman.
Yeah, Booker.
Yeah, Booker. Yeah, but nobody's being utilized, right? I mean, that's the thing. It's like I watch them play. I'm like, man, it's kind of chaotic.
And the way
They don't
that
have a
the way
definition.
that the way that Painter builds in continuity. the level of transfers compared to other squads, especially other high level, consistent top 10 teams, is a lot lower. The amount of consistency, in terms of the minutes allocated, is very much the previous the previous half generation ago of college basketball. Painter just keeps on running this show like everything around college basketball or everything around college sports hasn't changed. And that level of continuity builds in the roles that people, know, right? And so this is especially for a talented team like a talented team like Michigan.
Yeah.
But when you look at minutes allocated, there's a huge amount of turnover. Like, they're still learning their roles. And
It's weird. The guys that are the vets there, right? That you've got, is it Walker, right?
Yeah,
He's
Walker.
he's streaky as hell, right?
I mean,
he's,
Hogarth is kind of
he's good, but yeah.
He's good, but he's streaky. And Hogarth to me is a guy that almost he's never gotten to the level a lot of people thought he'd get to. So those are your vets, right?
But
I mean,
you talk about them slowly figuring it out. And right now you look at Bracketology, and ESPN's Bracketology has them as a 9 seed. Now they'll get to the tournament and they'll suddenly have it figured out. That's what I'll tell you.
Right.
That's always what happens.
Right.
So
That's fair.
I'm looking at the bracket matrix right now, and what we were saying, there's 7 Big Ten teams that are in just on the combined all the brackets, and they have Purdue at a 1, Wisconsin at the last 2, Illinois at a 4.
Whew. That's a fall.
Illinois is playing
The
on fire
next
right
one-
now. That lost to Maryland. That's
that's
no good.
Nebraska at the last 9, Ohio State at
Yikes.
10, Michigan State at 10, Northwestern at 11.
There's trash, absolute trash.
And the team that I think is in most danger, just because what we saw last year, it feels like they're doing the same thing they did.
Is Purdue.
Is
Purdue.
It's
Go
fair.
on.
No. Of not making the tournament is Ohio State. If I were an Ohio State fan,
yeah.
I've watched the last few games, I'd be like, oh no, here
What are we doing here?
Yep.
I mean,
What are we doing
the
2 and 4.
It's astounding. And by the way, they just hired Texas A&M's athletic director.
That happened. Yeah,
If they
we were talking
miss,
about that.
if they miss the tournament, I think that's going to be his first hire. I mean, I think that's going to be his big splash. He's going to come in and get Rick Pitino coming back to the Midwest.
So
or
if he
something
gets
like that.
If he gets Chris Beard,
That's an interesting call. Chris Beard.
No, I don't think
could.
I don't think so.
Oh.
But it's A&M.
That's
he's
a
been washed
great
clean,
call.
man. Everything's fine now. Everything's
done.
fine. There were
He's
never
good.
any charges. He's
Oh, a
fine.
big misunderstanding.
It was all exactly. It was a misunderstanding. It was really the girlfriend didn't know how much he loved her, and they were just he was trying to tell her.
Jay Muddy, I've often choked you with a reckless abandon several times.
But you guys
But
really love each other.
that
I mean,
was
that's
a
the
different,
thing.
that's a
It's that
different,
much
entirely
love.
different context here.
Exactly.
I mean,
It's a whole different kind of beard too.
Right. Exactly.
You can explain that to little boy down later.
Yeah, I think he's right step for step with you guys. I think he got it.
You're
He's
kidding.
picking up what you're putting down. I'm sure.
Not at
Ohio State. No way. No way.
Joe
gotta
Ainsley
win
says
it.
Bad Mata back to.
yeah,
No.
you got to win it.
He didn't win enough.
He's
the
still
first
got. By
time.
the way, his health problems still exist, and those aren't like those aren't
like Urban Meyer health
herbs.
problems.
Exactly.
I know where you're
Yeah.
going. I know where you're
Thank
going.
you. You can see it in my eye, right? A little twinkle. He still can't. He can't effectively recruit because of his. He has that drop foot thing is legit, man. So he's in poor health. That's tough.
Many people would stop doing the profession that exacerbated it, but
Maybe.
basketball coaches are not.
No, they're not.
do
They're not
that.
sane beings, are they? I mean, like,
No.
I'm sure. Do you think Mata's made enough money to fade?
I don't know.
Oblivion.
You never know, man. It depends how you live. They spend a lot too, as
Oblivion.
Patrick Ewing once said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They make a lot. They spend a lot. That's correct.
I don't think about Chris Beard at Ohio State. That's a terrifying thought.
Oh, it's totally horrible. It's the worst thought.
I like
And you
Anish's,
know what?
but
Here's
you
the
know,
problem with me. If you guys
that's a
haven't
good
figured
one.
this out, I know you two have figured out.
Okay.
He may know this. My first thought is always the worst scenario.
Always. I know.
And then if I can get over that worst scenario, then everything's going to be fine. If I can't, then I'm going to be pissed off and worried about the worst case scenario until it's put to bed. So
Oh, man.
that one's it's right up there for me.
Yeah,
Because
but I mean, it's a
all I
it's a
have
trash,
is January and February, guys, and December.
trash pile of a conference that Purdue should. I mean, like again, Purdue is second, but it's not like Wisconsin is going to be is going to run the table here. So I don't think that and Purdue plays them twice, like Jay Muddy said. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Zach's health is it. I mean, like that's what you're hoping for. Again, like once every other game, we're still seeing this. Ripped to the ground. And Zach is, he's better at falling than Isaac Haas is. But man,
Oh, don't put that out into the ether. Don't even.
we've already lived it. We've lived all of these scenarios. We've lived every scenario. There's
Please don't talk
nothing
about it
out.
like that.
There's nothing. that
I
we
think
can
about these
imagine
things.
that
I think
happens.
about these awful things. Anytime Matt Painter inexplicably leaves Zach Edey in a game with, say, under 6 minutes to go, where Purdue's up by 18 to 20 points. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's like he forgets. It's like he's controlling a video game. He's like, oh, we're down to 5 minutes. I should pull him out of there. You let him.
On the flip
I
side,
completely agree, and I completely worry. If that doesn't go
flip
through
side,
every
though,
Purdue fan's head, I don't know what's wrong with you
in
guys.
the era of the 3-point shot, I mean, like it is a leads disappear quickly,
Oh.
right? Not against IU.
I'm talking about when it's
disappear
you.
quickly.
But Anish, I get it, but you have to trust your team to be able to hold a. I'm not talking about an 8-point lead. I'm saying when your team's up, say 15 with 5 minutes left. Come on.
And
That's
you've
happened a
got-
few times where he leaves them in until there's 3 minutes left, and then he puts in the walk-ons. It's like
15 isn't that much anymore. 15 isn't
No,
that
15
many
wasn't that
points
much.
anymore.
LBD and I have reviewed Purdue's tournament losses over the last decade.
Yeah.
And was it
man.
Cincinnati?
Shout out to
or-
Cincinnati. I was
Cincinnati
gonna,
was
I was
7
gonna,
points in 45 seconds. That I will always remember. They were up 7 with 45 to go.
I think
It's
Jay
almost-
Muddy is still angry at me for the post game that I wrote, which is literally just like I got to take a walk, and I just posted it and walked.
No,
away.
I wasn't me angry. I don't. That's fine.
That's the right
It's
thing
not like
to
I was
do.
I wasn't gonna read anything.
Yeah, I know exactly. I mean,
By the way, can we just pause for a minute and talk? Not pause, but can we? Purdue now moves on. They just hit a speed bump in Bloomington, and now they move on to face Saturday, Iowa's all-time winningest.
I heard
basketball
this.
coach.
This is incredible. This
It's
is an
incredible stuff.
incredible feat. He passes the one other coach
I
that
think he
coached at
tied
Iowa.
I think he tied them. Actually, I think they're both the
I
winningest
tied 'em.
coaches. So if he retires now, they can hold it together.
Well, I asked
Probably.
this question: have they figured things out, or is it? I mean, they look pretty good the last couple games.
I mean, it's. I think according to
They do this
Ken
every
Pom,
year.
according to Ken Pom, it is the hardest or second. Like it is one of the handful of hardest games Purdue has left. I think Wisconsin.
But didn't you guys?
at Wisconsin is the other one.
You guys just read off the Big Ten tournament teams, and I don't think Iowa was one of them. Correct? I'm not being facetious. They
No,
weren't
they're
listed
they're
there.
right in there.
Right.
No,
They-
no.
So
Let's
and
see,
they're 3
No,
and 3 in the
they
conference.
took all of December off pretty much.
Yeah,
right?
they have nobody has
Yes,
them
Tom
as
Davis.
at
That's
large.
correct.
Nobody even
Yeah,
have them
but
at,
but I
at
mean,
large.
all Fran needs is a glimpse of the tournament to make a run, right? I mean, like that's
Just get him
this
in
is
there,
what we've
man.
seen.
Just
Get
get
him
in
in there, and that's when the Fran magic happens.
It's that he just
Every
he
March.
makes it to the round of 64 or the round of 32, and we're
Sweet
good.
32 appearances. Is that what they call it? The Sweet 32? I
Sweet
can't remember.
32.
Sweet 32.
Sweet,
That is
sweet
it.
32.
I should have come up with something better than that. But
No,
I wanted
like
to
Sweet
say,
32.
not only has he's been to the Sweet 32, I think 6 times in his career, which that alone is hilarious. That it's only been 6 times that he's won a game in 26 years of coaching. But he also has finished as high as a tie for third 3 times in the Big Ten. Way to go, Fran. Good stuff.
And
I know
it's not like he's not had talent at Iowa. I know that you
he
see
had a
Iowa
ton of
basketball.
talent.
He's
Hey,
had a ton of
Garza.
talent.
How
Didn't
did
he have
not?
3 pros on one team?
Both Murrays. I mean, like
So you had both Murrays, Garza, and the kid who got out of the concentration camp.
Police camp.
Police camp. I mean, he's a great story. I don't know why that wasn't talked about more in the national media. He
What?
survived being starved
Did he?
for months at a
I
time,
don't-
and he still
don't
played
know.
basketball. That is wild.
I don't know.
Skin and
if-
bones, that guy.
I don't know if Garza was on the same team as the Murray brothers, but
He was
it
on with at least one, wasn't he?
We're going to
It's
check.
not. It's not
This
like
is possible.
both of the. It's not
Oh,
like
wait, they're
the
twins.
Murray
What the
brothers.
hell?
Wait,
Did
what is
one of them
different
redshirt?
times?
I don't know.
No.
They came in at the
Are
same
there
time.
2 of them?
Yeah.
No, they came in
There
at the
are
same
2 of
time,
them.
and then like one of them like barely played. Like Chris
Yeah.
barely played.
I don't know. If there's. I think they're the same
I
guy.
don't know.
It's
You
just,
get 10 fouls with one guy. That's the advantage of having
that's
twins
it.
like that.
That's it's like the Morai
So
twins, and
so hold on.
Now,
Garza
Marble was a
there.
stud too. Ryan Clip said.
Garza
Yes,
was there
Marble.
from
And that guy,
17.
what's his name? Jared Uthoff.
Goodness gracious!
Remember when he
Utah was a
beat Purdue by
great
himself?
shooter.
Guys, Garza was there 17 to 21. Chris
Yeah.
Murray was there 20 to 23. So
So
there's
they
an
were-
And he was good right
Wow,
away. He
there
was
was.
good right
Keegan
away.
Both
was
of them were
20
good.
to 22,
Keegan
right?
was
Same
nice.
time.
Yep.
Yeah, Keegan was
Yeah.
nice. I mean, they were both. Keegan was good right away. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, Fran has the talent, more talent than Iowa should get. At least Iowa
Absolutely.
men's team
Yeah.
should get.
They had 2
yeah,
seasons
so
together.
It's
Doesn't it seem like most players at Iowa are mute? Like you watch them play, and it looks like they're just yelling, "Beep."
Not Toussaint.
Huh?
Not
Not Toussaint. No, that guy, he talks all damn game. And he
Yeah, he
kills
talk-
Purdue too. He's from Indianapolis,
I
right?
think he doubled the
Well,
percentage African American people in the city.
the state. Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
No, so Fran, shout out to you. We'll play on, on Saturday.
and nobody's ever said Iowa can't score. That's one thing they can do.
Oh,
play
they can
offense.
score. They can
They
score.
play every team he has plays offense. They just none of them play defense. This is another thing. Like if that were your coach, it would drive you so like. How do you not bring in a defensive guy? How do you not bring in a specialist who can coach up the defense? But I guess we'll see what happens. So yeah, I just wanted to mention it. I wanted to give Fran his
It's due.
Been one.
Yeah.
his.
You want to congratulate him is what you're saying. You just want to congratulate him.
Yeah, I'm proud of him. It's a great accomplishment.
Everybody's
Great
proud of him.
accomplishment. Great regular season accomplishment.
By the way, just days ago, pretty much, we were saying, wow, chaos. Just days ago, we were talking about, will Fran be back next year? All of a sudden, like Lazarus.
That's what we call him.
That's what we
Fran-
say. That's what everybody calls him. That's what everybody calls
Franzarus?
him.
Is that what you
Franzarus.
said?
That's what I said.
Or they call him the Franix. See, it's like Phoenix, but
You guys ever
I
see
like that. I like
the
that.
what's it called? What's that chart called?
Fran.
FranCon?
FranCon. Yeah, FranCon.
Oh yeah.
FranCon,
It's
definitely.
Francon's
I
great.
mean, it's yes, of course. I mean,
Default
it's-
setting.
it's-
Slightly annoyed.
I've seen this game.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen that game. That one time.
Which one?
Purdue and IU. We got
Purdue
it.
IU
We got
highlights.
this is we're breaking a cardinal rule of the handsome hour, which is having the television in the background. Not only one, we got four. We got the quad.
I think that's fine though because you're not easily distracted.
No, I'm
I
like
think
not at
that-
all.
And it's
I
not
got
like
no.
there are
I'm
two
like
of
a
you.
laser.
The focus is very good. Very good.
But not one of those sharp lasers, one of those ones that just kind of go off into all directions.
Refracting, kind of. Is that what you're?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
It's going all directions. It's being split into all of its
Through a
parts.
prism.
Yep.
before J Money has to go get a cat out of, that's stuck in a tree.
That's not my department. That's what
I
I
tell
say
you
to
what
the
you do.
firemen.
Sorry.
You
I say
revive
that to
the
the
cat.
firemen.
Oh yeah, he
They love
the
it.
cat's not breathing. He comes and gives mouth to the cat.
That's it. Mouth,
No.
mouth to mouth. Mouth to cat.
It's mouth to snout. Thank you very much.
Mouth to snout.
I do have dog CPR masks in my.
Are you effing
my
kidding
car.
me?
Nope.
This is how we know America's in deep, deep trouble.
Hey now, how dare you?
Hey, J
I
Money,
would
do
s-
that again one more time. What was that? Is that? Oh,
Over the snout.
okay. Okay.
I like dogs
Uh,
a lot. I really do, but let it. You should
If you
never
were
put your
lying on the
mouth-
ground having trouble breathing and a dog was next to you having trouble breathing, I got to tell you, you're second.
you
in
choose the dog.
I thought you were about to. I thought you were about to say, "Would you, if Boiler Dad was lying on the ground, wouldn't you want the dog to give you CPR?"
No. Anish, you're misunderstanding. It's not something for the dog to give CPR. It's something if a dog is in distress.
Oh wait, that's
Oh,
you
I
misled
see.
us. I thought for sure you had a
makes
dog in
I thought you were teaching dogs to give CPR.
on your squad. You had a dog who came along with all the rides, and it was like a CPR expert.
Like a Dalmatian.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
There's no rule that a dog can't give CPR. Who says
Yeah,
it? Where is
they
it? in the
not
rules?
only put out fires, but Dalmatians can do CPR.
Well, you can't be a firefighter without regular CPR training. You can't
Right.
be fire certified.
Right.
So you,
I am not a firefighter. I'd like to make that clear. That's like I said, when I'm on a call and they show up in their dumb hats and their coats and there's nothing for them to do, I usually do say something like, I think there's a cat in a tree.
You're a
down
handyman. You heal broken hearts, like
there." That's what I do.
James Taylor.
He's an arsonist. He just goes around lighting.
He likes.
On Twitter, I'm an arsonist. That's my role there.
So, by the way, I want to clear something up in front of my friend Jay, in front of the world. Okay, so
Yeah,
Jay and
let's do
it wasn't a dust up today. It was me expressing. So here's what Jay's really, really great at on social media. And if you listen to my,
I don't think this is a compliment.
No. This is a huge compliment because you're so good on Twitter. You are incredible at a one-liner that can just dice people up. It's an X-Acto. It's so sharp. It will cut them to the quick. Okay. That's why our Twitter feed grew, because Jay was on it primarily for so long. And then I took over and it just kind of leveled out.
It's still like slowly. It's like a 1% grade.
It's sex bots.
And here's why. Yeah, it's all sex bots that are. I block 10 of them a day. I'm like, what? Anyway, I don't know if that does any good. I don't think it does. Anyway, so, but Jay's very good at throwing a grenade into a room and just sitting back and giggling at it. Okay, he's so good at it.
Laugh.
Yes, and he's good at it. Okay, but what he's been doing recently is he gets on. I would say now, would you say it's 80-20 or 90-10 on the tweets?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think
Okay.
90-10 is fine.
So what he does, though, he'll throw one of those grenades, and then he walks away for a day, and I have to hear, I'm catching all this flack.
The best way to do it. That's the way to do it.
You realize somebody looked up my bio, which is nonsense. They couldn't figure out. They looked up my bio and said, this is the guy tweeting. It's like, oh, no, it's not. You don't know. There's two of us on here.
But what did I tweet that was so offensive? I go out of my way. I don't say anything.
You were right there, okay? And you were right about the Fran tweet. You were correct in both cases. And you are very funny in this. You're very good at this. The problem is I don't want to deal with it all day because I check Twitter probably 4 times a day on a normal day. It's usually, don't you guys take 4 dumps a day? Is that normal? All right. All right. So on a day where I've eaten a lot of cheese, it's only one time.
And you're not on Twitter very much.
Clogged up,
right.
and I don't. And people.
Hey,
are like,
I will keep the brilliance to my own.
No, don't. It's just so hard. I want you to stay in and spar with them. You're better at that too. I don't like doing that.
So I actually do want to ask a question. Does the 2019 IU football team get a banner because now Alabama has been taken over by that squad?
It's IU South.
Do you guys know who the longest tenured head football coach in the state of Alabama is right now?
Hugh Freeze?
Nope, not Hugh Freeze. That's a good guess, but no. It's actually Rich Rodriguez at Jacksonville State.
Gosh.
Mercy.
I didn't know he was even there.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Talk about the illness of not being able to let go of coaching. He
Yeah.
said where? Jacksonville
Where? State. Jacksonville State.
Jacksonville State is in Alabama?
It's in Alabama, yes.
I didn't know this. He said this to me a week ago. I had no idea.
Is it?
It's in Alabama. It's in Jacksonville, Alabama.
Holy smokes!
So there are about 4 or 5 schools. Tell me I'm not the only one here. 4 or 5 schools that have come up to I don't know what we call it, Division I. What's the new
FBS? What's the new thing they started doing 20 years ago?
12 years ago they started. Just happened. So FBS teams that have in the last 5-7 years come up to FBS, and I was sure they were a historically black college, and then I'm like that. It keeps happening to me. I just don't know who's who. They generally land in the Sun Belt.
This one isn't FBS. But
growing up,
no, they're not.
Growing up, I thought Georgetown was an HBCU because
I understand
because I watched
why.
basketball and it was Big John, and so I was like, Big John School is obviously an HBCU, and then I grow up and I'm like, wow, it's the furthest thing possible.
Exactly. The funny
it might
that's
be the
the
whitest
weird thing.
school.
That happens too, right? Where a sports culture doesn't match the rest of the university. But that one's incredible because remember, Thompson put the African print around the neck of the uniform.
Big John was so much cooler than Georgetown as a university deserved. I mean, all of their players were incredible. Yes. I mean, Pat Matumbo, AI, all of these dudes. It was just they shouldn't.
Did you say Matumbo?
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Did he go there?
Yeah, Deke.
Morning?
Yeah.
I knew Morning. No, I knew Morning.
That's Big Man U, by the way.
AI.
Purdue wishes they were Big Man U that way. That's Big Man U. What they did for 15 years. I mean, incredible.
It was crazy.
Incredible.
It was crazy. Hey, shout out to Roy Hibbert. Shout out to
That's
Roy
right.
Hibbert.
And then, but Hibbert was John Thompson Jr., right?
The first from Little John. Yeah, exactly, as they call
John
him.
That was
Thompson
a
the third,
great
wasn't
period
it?
of success.
Or was it
JT3.
Junior? The third.
No,
Three.
it was JT3. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I mean, so shout out to that 2018, 2019 IU team, whatever it was.
Well,
for taking
and we're talking
over.
about a period where IU's team is now IU's coaching staff is not only and their quarterback was in the national championship game. Don't forget that.
The Heisman runner-up.
And the Heisman runner-up, and Daryl Hazel's coaching staff is running roughshod
Notre
over
Dame's.
college
Yeah,
football.
Notre Dame's. Where's Jared Parker now? Did Jared Parker get?
He's
a head
at
coaching job?
no, he's an OC at a really good school, and I'm forgetting.
Who'd
I
you
think
say?
he Jared
Jared
Parker.
Parker.
Wasn't he a head coach?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, he just got. Oh,
Head
he
football
was.
coach at Troy.
Yep,
Troy.
Troy. That's a good job.
Yeah.
That's one of those schools that came up into
John Summerall
FBS.
was just there. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
he was at West Virginia too. He was everywhere. He was at Penn State. He was at Duke.
He was gonna get hired at ECU before he got the DUI
Yeah.
after Purdue.
Yep. That was a
telling
done
you.
deal, pretty much.
Yeah,
Till-
and then
till-
also, did you know that?
Listen to this. This is wild.
Did you know that IU's quarterback from last year also was in the championship game?
that's
Tuttle,
right. He was the backup.
backup
Yep.
for Michigan.
I didn't know that till just now.
I knew it because I follow some. I have some IU friends.
He
and
was
they-
on the ready. Did he play any downs with Michigan this year?
No.
No.
No, they barely needed
He might
J.J.
have got
McCarthy.
I mean, maybe.
So let me ask you guys a question. This is just theoretical. Pretend for a second you didn't cheat at your job. I know this is hard for you guys to
I'll
imagine.
have to imagine.
Yeah, you'll have to imagine. But pretend you don't cheat or you didn't cheat for your job. And your employer says he doesn't cheat. Jay, Anish, they're great, honorable men. They do not cheat. Okay. And then the guy you hired to the right, he gets fired for not cheating. Okay. 'Cause you were like, yeah, you got to get out of here because you didn't cheat. Okay. So he gets fired for not cheating. Okay. And then all of your support staff says, yeah, he's not cheating. And then you get a job offer at another place, you go interview, and then you come back and you talk to your original employer and you say, can you protect me from this uncheating that I've done? Does that make any damn sense? Am I the only person in the world that's not insane? Because I'm like listening to Michigan fans and their administration talk or fake talk or whatever they do, and then saying the world's against them, and then they throw gas on this fire.
I would like to address this because I think I said this in our group chat, and I feel like this is worthy of being out on the airwaves.
Yeah.
I would like, because I think you'll both, I think you both will find this interesting too, or found it interesting. When they did the Fab Five 30 for 30, and they talked to Michigan administrators during that and talked about, it was this very somber, like, we did the right thing and we took that away and we took down the banners. We have folded them up and put them away, and we have excommunicated Chris Webber from our midst, right? And I never liked Chris Webber.
Just Chris
I was never
Webber.
a fan. Huh?
Just
Well,
Chris
but
Webber.
and I'm not. I didn't like the Fab Five. I was a Purdue guy. I didn't. Right? Fine.
I thought they had cool shorts and shoes.
But they were so proud of the fact that we separated ourselves from them. But now you've got a case where you've got documented, not just like you took an improper thing that had no impact on the game, but you literally cheated at recruiting and at in-game expressly. This isn't like the steroid era in baseball where you could say, well, they weren't testing. They didn't expressly forbid this. So there's a gray area, which there isn't, but like you could argue that. What they did with the sign stealing was expressly, specifically prohibited, because if they didn't prohibit it, the teams with lots of money would do what Michigan did. Okay. So, and yet the administration of Michigan now doesn't just, okay, if you were going to be silent about it because you were winning a national title, I'm not going to say I'd respect it, but at least I'd say, well, we don't know exactly what they think. No, they came out and released statements about what a paragon of virtue Jim Harbaugh is. So I don't know. What do you guys think the difference is between this guy and that team that, by the way, made Michigan super famous and super cool and made Steve Fisher have a career? And
Right.
I'm sorry, but that stuff, you
I was gonna
lose
say
all
the main difference is they weren't punished by the NCAA. So this team,
neither
What-
was Michigan.
they were punished back then. This team, though, has been found guilty without punishment, and they are under a second investigation in the same.
I guess the Big Ten was the only thing that did anything to him, right? Suspending him.
So far. I can't wait to see what the NCAA does, what bag of tricks they're going to pull out, because we know they're so good at holding people accountable these days.
Couldn't you have very easily? Isn't this one of the rare cases?
Yeah, that's right.
But isn't this one of the rare cases where, so whenever there's an allegation, right, against someone, whatever it is, on the court, off the court, domestic issues, if you don't have all the facts, there is always an argument made that it's really hard to take a guy and take their chance of playing away, because if they're not guilty, that's really hard to do. In this situation, it's like beyond a shadow of a doubt he was guilty of this, or his program was. Right. So you had the opportunity to say, guess what? And we've done this before. Postseason, you're not eligible for postseason. We've done this in the past with college football. So why couldn't it be this year? You're not eligible for the postseason. Sorry. Or you're not, coach, at a minimum. But we decided not to, because that would take teeth.
Here's what we all need to understand, okay? Everyone needs to understand this. Michigan and Notre Dame are cut from the exact same cloth. And that cloth is, we're better than you. We're going to talk about we're being better than you. All of our people are going to talk that we're better than you. And then we're going to cheat our asses off all the time, and we're going to look down our noses as everybody else gets in trouble. They're the same damn thing. So here's the thing. Alabama, by the way, if you listen to what Michigan people were saying on Twitter and the scuttle there, right? They were all talking down about Alabama being academics are a joke. They've been cheating. I was like, are you guys effing kidding me? You clowns. I know you're all Michigan men and women. Congratulations. You guys are the worst people in the world, because at least they own up to what they are. You are frauds. The whole place is fraudulent. Basketball, football, athletic director, everybody's a fraud. And even the president is a fraud, because they look the other way as this shit's happening. And it's been happening for 40 years. I mean, it's our whole lives.
Speaking of Fab Five and a garbage conference, man, has Michigan just let it
my gosh,
it's gone. I mean, Martelli is the head coach kinda now. I think. Have they said what Jawan's health things are? But Jawan
he's still coaching.
But he's out and back. He missed a month or so, month and a half. And then
but he's been back for a while, and arguably still not coaching. But
the fact he's done, and he knows he's done, and he's now getting weird with his doneness.
This is the hazard, though, of bringing back a favorite son of a program. This is exactly what happened with Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. They did not want to fire Pat. They did not want to. They let him slog through the worst because they really hoped he could turn it around. And I think you're seeing the same thing. Michigan, they don't love him the way Georgetown. They don't love Juwan the way Georgetown loved Patrick Ewing. But they don't want to have to fire Juwan. They really don't. And they're going to have to, unfortunately.
He's doing everything he can to earn the firing, to me, right? He's not going to take this, classy. I mean, what indicator did you have that Juwan Howard was classy? Is there any indicator out there?
I love how you've hated Juwan Howard forever.
I hated him from the jump, by the way, and I don't know why everybody else wasn't on board. Welcome to the freaking bandwagon. Because he showed his ass multiple times, and now he's just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, so there's a comment a minute ago. Let's talk about Purdue basketball for a second. Okay, Boilerman says this is the largest margin of victory since 2003, largest margin of victory in Bloomington since 1934.
Pretty crazy.
That's LBD noticed that one. That's
does
awesome.
that only happen if you're tall, or can you?
I think that's
any height?
Oh, by the way, we brought that up before. I just want to mention
1934. Jay, how old were you in 34?
I was a wee lad.
Yeah, you were a little fella.
But that by the way, that he's only tall thing. I just want to point out that was some jackass Twitter troll who said that. And that has gotten to the point where it's talked about on the Field of 68. It's talked about on The Athletic. It was on TV. There was the headline about it, tall, and that's not all. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're giving that jackass way too much. Yeah, even though he's not being credited for it. But I remember the guy who brought it up, and he was just an IU putz who didn't know anything. And
he was the first
no one thought that.
Said it,
no one ever thought that.
No one ever thought it, but it became its own thing. If you look at people did start saying it. It wasn't just him. It did take a life of its own. I would say though that Anish can attest to this. 5'4" versus 6'4". 6'4" wins most of the time. But
Some of the
6'4"
time.
needs to be skilled like Anish. That's the other thing.
There have been plenty of unskilled 7-footers in
Yes,
basketball.
yes, there have. And the funny thing is, like the Cobra stats brought this up. All the 7'3" and taller people that have been balls in NCAA basketball, there's countless. They're everywhere. What we're watching with Edey, it's not just him being tall. Someone asked a very good question earlier. It was a very, very good question. I don't know if they were available or remember Robinson as a player. The question was, who was more dominant, Robinson or Edey? Okay. I was at Purdue when Robinson was in his final year at Purdue. Okay. And I would say Robinson was more dominant simply because he could have the ball in his hands all the time. That's a big difference. Edey has to be set up by someone. Robinson could set himself up. And Robinson he didn't do it a lot, but when he ran point forward, he was an absolute mother. There's nothing you could do about it.
Here's what I want to do is actually just switch their eras. I want Edey to play in the era that Big Dog played in, and I want Big Dog to play now.
Goodness.
Because Big Dog now.
Goodness, that's good. Yeah, Big Dog, his career would be better. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Zach back then would be just as dominant. I mean, like that, he could.
Oh, Zach back then, that's he'd be just as dominant. He'd be the number one overall.
He'd be the number one pick in the draft.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, like it, and so but
that's a good
ball handling, that independent dominance, independent of everybody else. I mean, Zach is dominant, but he is still dependent on needing good entry passes, right? And when he's quadruple teamed and the team can't hit a three, this is a problem. Big Dog could just take the ball and do that. So like dominant, that specific word, I think I'd have to give it to the Big Dog. But like a better season, a better career, it is that's where you start to get Edey, at the top of all of these all-time lists.
That's a nice segue because the commentariat on the side is discussing. They were just ignoring most of our. Our ranting, and they said Ted Berkey says the Mount Rushmore of Purdue basketball, and this is I saw this one earlier. This is a good take. Mount, Wooden, Big Dog, Edey. Now you could certainly think of other guys you would say you want in there, but that's pretty good.
I think that's it.
I see. It's
every era too.
Yeah, but
I have such a hard time leaving Shieldhouse.
You have a hard time with Wooden.
Wooden Shieldhouse, or you've got a couple other guys that you could put there.
Well,
and
the problem that what Wooden propels him to, and Michael will love this because, by the way, Michael's
the national championship.
I just have to say this. Yes, the national championship.
Absolutely.
Wooden was on the only national champ, and Michael
there's
loves
a banner
Purdue
hanging. Michael,
this is a kind of a test to see if Michael listens to the show that he.
I don't think he does.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. But he's still in the chat. I mean,
he hears us enough.
He's in the VIP room. He's in the green room all the time.
That's right.
So if you don't know this, Michael can't stand the 1932. What type of championship?
The Helms Trophy.
Yeah. And I understand why he can't stand it, but you got to understand, you got to look at the era it was in. I understand his point. That's like saying anything voted on doesn't count. I understand the point, but you got to look at the different era. I mean, what Mount was too. He was incredible. And I'm not even saying as a coach. I think he was a cheater as a coach. So that's
Wooden.
Yeah. So, but not Mount.
Wooden. You said Mount. Yeah.
Nabbit, not
yeah.
Wooden.
Sorry. There's
What Mount was as a scorer, by the way. Let's switch gears back to my brain actually functioning correctly. Mount as a scorer is the best Purdue scorer ever. There's nobody close. The fact that there was no 3-pointer, there was no 3-pointer, and he did what he did. He lit teams on fire. He'd score 50 and 60 points. And obviously, this is the funny thing. People think playing a fast-paced offense is something. Whenever a team does it, like, oh my gosh, modern basketball. No. Purdue played a very fast offense and not a ton of defense back then.
Right.
Got him to the final.
That was an out of its time team,
yes.
Right? If they were playing fast and trying to score constantly when there was no 3-point shot, like for most of IU's championship. What? Oh, sorry.
By the way, that's that Mount Rushmore that's in the comments that he brought up. You guys can, if you can bring that up, that is great.
It's the one by Frail Hammers.
Yes. If you can find it, Anish. This is difficult, but
it's not that far down. I saw it.
It's worth it.
10:01. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find it. Anyway,
Where
well,
is
as we
Ah,
find
here.
it, let me do something real quick. The people that made my shirt, that's Home Field Apparel. Head over to homefieldapparel.com, enter Boiled23 still for 15% off your first purchase. I think Anish
Don't
is
get
wearing
that
his
shirt
one.
though. Don't get that shirt.
Don't get
though.
this one? You don't want people to get
No.
this one? You don't like underdogs? Is that what you're saying?
No,
I love underdogs.
I love my alma mater.
Yeah.
I
That's a wild thing.
So Fred
I don't
Hammer
think
says
it's-
the Mount Rushmore is his Mount Rushmore is Corey Spates, Patrick Beatty, Scott Martin, Travis Carroll, and No Jalisha. My
Tacos.
favorite part of this might be that he gave 5 names for Mount Rushmore. It makes it's even better.
It's better. It is better. It makes the funny to another level. It's very good.
It's extra stupid. It's good.
It's very, very good. So
No
the funny
Kendall
thing is, whenever
Stevens?
you get in these things, and this is a niche's
No
type
Kendall
of thing.
Stevens? No Kendall
Yeah, Kendall
Stevens?
Stevens isn't on there. What the hell?
Well,
Goodness
you
gracious.
can't have 6. Wouldn't that be ridiculous?
So when people, this is the funny thing. Somebody started talking about
Johnson
tiers,
brothers.
TIERS, not TEARS of Purdue grades, right? So when Anish likes this stuff though, because Anish brings the stuff up that are they're like hard opinions that you can't prove wrong or you can't prove right. Like they're like, this is a fact. First tier, and people were talking about first tier grades. No, he's moved down to the second tier because I saw somebody say Etwan Moore is in the second tier. That was like a big proclamation. And I'm like, why? Troy Lewis being second tier, by the way, somebody said that. I don't know how big the tier is. Troy Lewis was a beast. But I gotta have the tiers defined, I guess.
Remember when we used to write long form things where we'd break all this down and we'd be like, oh, I don't know how we had so much time on our hands.
No,
But-
I'll tell you why. We didn't have kids yet.
Stupid kids ruin all the fun. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, right here. Dang. Well, no, he was a baby, so we had to have. Because, by the way, Boiled Sports started. He was like 5.5, 6 months old.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun. Pretty fun history. So he was,
Or
but
sad.
my wife, Mrs. Boiler Dad, was doing all the work. Clearly, I was writing needless posts, research posts. By the way, that's
For
one
6
thing.
people to read.
Yeah, I do that still with video posts. You guys know I did that in the last month, where I do a really heavy research post. Takes me 50 hours of labor, and then like 4 people watch it or listen to it. It's so fun.
Joe Ensley says that Zach never hit a 3-pointer. Well, neither did Rick Mount. So in your face, Joe.
In
Got
your
him.
face, got
Got
him.
him.
That was a great point. Suck on all of that.
John Wooden? No three.
John Wooden, 0
Yeah, John did
3-pointers.
a damn thing.
Never hit one.
How Joe Barry Carroll isn't in the conversation?
Yeah. Joe
Oh yeah.
took
It's
the
ridiculous.
last Final Four.
That has to be the context. That's why Wooden gets propelled to the next level, right? Obviously, Mount is propelled to the Mount is he checks every box. He's like the Aiden
Hey,
O'Connell of
fun
of
fact.
basketball. Is that the right thing to say?
Pretty much.
Oh, that was good.
Fun fact, Lee Rose, the coach of the 1980 Final Four team, is in the Kentucky Sports Hall of Fame.
Do you know why Lee Rose is in the Kentucky Sports Hall of Fame?
He won the Derby once.
Yep, that's it.
He
It's a
nailed
little
it.
known. He was a jockey.
Yeah. So Lee Rose
No idea.
he's an amazing coach. Not only did Purdue to the Final Four, he also took
UNC Greensboro.
UNC Greensboro to the Final Four.
Wow.
That is unreal.
Which is also not in Kentucky, but I assume he's from Kentucky. Is that why we're doing that?
yeah.
Okay.
I
He's
watched
got
the
it.
game at Bellarmine, and they're at the stadium. They play at the what's it called Liberty
no,
Dome.
Freedom
Freedom
Hall.
Dome, same thing.
Freedom Hall.
For same thing.
It's not Liberty Dome
Liberty
and Freedom
Dome.
Hall are not the same thing.
No.
You said Liberty Dome.
Liberty
no
Dome.
one would know what you're talking about.
America.
Freedom Hall. Everyone would understand what
at
you're talking
Freedom
about.
Call it America Arena. Freedom and liberty.
At Freedom Hall, they
America tent.
have all the Kentucky Sports Hall of Famers. So
Ask him why he was at a Bellarmine game. No one really knows. He went
So,
during his Christmas break.
A
with-
Bellarmine game?
Yeah, with a Boiled Sports listener to watcher. He was at a Bellarmine game. They our pal Jared. He went there with him. So because they're junkies, they're college basketball junkies.
No, Andy in Colorado. Lee Rose did not win the Kentucky Derby. We were kidding about that.
That was a joke. It was a joke.
See, this is the stuff that worries me.
Do we
when
know it's a joke?
But he was a
Are you
state
sure?
bowling champ in 1960. I don't know if that's true. So
Frail Hammers asks, was Anish in elementary? There was a time, yes, he was in elementary.
I've been there.
Or do they mean that TV show called Elementary? I don't know.
Abbott Elementary. Yes, I
Yes.
star in that as well.
By the way, can we take let's ask the people that are watching live, listening live. Huh? What's that?
It's out of focus.
Yeah, I know. He's out of focus. Does everyone agree that what drug is it that Anish is on the commercial of right now?
Oh,
It's
I don't
college
know.
Anish
We saw it.
with a mustache, not a full beard.
Oh, it's very possible.
Ozempic.
You said,
No,
I
we
filmed
saw it
a lot of
today.
B-roll.
It wasn't
back
you
then.
said
I was gonna say-
Otezla?
Otezla.
Tesla.
So if you guys can
Hey.
sound off in the margins, I told Jay this, Anish, off the air
I didn't
before
say
we
it.
got on. I said, I'm pretty sure that's Anish in college on the Otezla commercial.
I get those sweet pharma. big
Exactly. You
pharma
got that
residuals.
big dough. That's how you're able to afford all the nice stuff you wear.
I took a picture of it, but
That's
perfectly
correct.
coiffed hair,
It
all
was
that
deleted.
stuff. Huh?
I took a picture of it, but it was deleted. So.
Yeah. He kind of gives a look in the commercial because he gives the girl a hug because he's like, oh, this one's gonna, right? He's like, oh, this
Yeah.
might work out.
He looks old
And
and young.
I'm getting Anish vibes because the ladies love Anish.
He looks
That's
old and young.
no, that's usually the look I give you when we see each
true.
other on
Yeah,
the
that's true.
on the
This is
instances
very
we
true.
see each other.
Well,
So that may be the. It's more of a mental image that you're getting here.
yeah, Mr. Pfizer. Cialis.
Somebody said Cialis. Exactly.
Oh, I found it. Okay.
Okay. No, don't play it. Don't play it. That won't translate.
That's not good. That's not good radio.
No. He's
Exactly.
gonna
We
try.
need to
He's
get
gonna
that
do the
money
thing where you
directly.
bring his cell phone up to the camera. This always works great.
Looks like him.
So here it is.
Oh,
I cannot see.
you know,
It does kind of.
Screenshot.
the little.
It looks like Aaron Rodgers.
I was just gonna say it looks like Aaron Rodgers. I completely agree.
But don't people say
looks
that
like
about you all the time, Anish?
You look just like
People
Aaron
mistake him
Aaron
for Aaron
Rodgers?
Rodgers all the time.
No. I'm not Aaron Rodgers.
You couldn't. We went from big pharma money to Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly. That is such a good.
I don't want.
That's so
I don't want this SEO. I don't want
By
this
the way,
SEO. I
6'4". You never seen Aaron Rodgers and Anish together, have you? Probably the same guy.
That's right. He's my alter ego.
That's right.
On one side, we try to heal people. On the other side, well, don't worry about it.
I
Don't
want
worry
to
about the
air
other side.
something because somebody hints at this. Ben Carnahan hints at this, and my dad has hinted at this, and my brother has hinted at this, and other people have said quick casts. They're putting air quotes. By the way, I don't title those quick casts, those post games, and I've transitioned those out of quick casts into a handsome hour kind of a stopgap.
Yeah, quick cast is right.
Because there's so many people that are clamoring for you two. I mean, I'm as close as we can get to you guys.
I don't recall any. We never complain. It always sounds like you feel like you have to justify yourself. You do not.
No,
Not to
so
us,
many people.
not to your
Like,
dad.
I'm getting it at home, man. I'm getting it
I
at
know.
home.
I know.
My dad, my brother texting me saying mean things, hurtful things.
But they're watching. They're watching. It's like Howard Stern. They're watching either way. Doesn't matter. They want to hear what he's going to say next.
That's right. Yeah. What's he gonna say? I'm much better as a member of a team, for the record. I just can talk a lot.
Ryan
by
Clippers
myself
says
as well.
handsome hour plus Tuesdays on Peacock.
It's just, by the way, it's just as good as BTN Plus. Handsome hour plus.
When this
Just
gets
as
all
good.
out of focus and blurry, that's BTN plus.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's
That's
like
awesome.
watching on BTN.
By the way, how did you find a camera that doesn't have autofocus, Jay? What is up with that?
This is the same
You were
camera.
out of focus for a good 5 minutes.
Sorry, this is the same camera I've always used. Sorry, it's not up to your standards. I'm on the go
Yeah.
today.
This is bunker cam. Hashtag bunker cam. This isn't knuckle cam. This is different.
It's my detachable.
Okay, gotcha. You can put it at different angles. That's pretty cool.
Body cam.
It's on top of the computer.
Body cam. All your.
It's body cam.
You're a police officer, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
If anybody knows police officers, it's Dr. Anish.
That's right. I've had free interactions.
That's right. This guy. He always is dealing with police. Not negative stuff. He's helping. He's helping talk people off ledges. They call him in. He's like some special ops. When things get bad, you call Anish. When there's a kitten dying, you call him Anish.
That's right. I think I have a show on CBS.
So how do you guys feel? Let me ask you, Anish, because Anish has been. You've got really three very different perspectives. Really. 3 very different perspectives on Purdue basketball right here on this handsome hour. Okay. And I'm not going to really break down what they are. You guys should kind of know. We know what we are. But I'd like to hear from the other two and maybe even LBD here. what are your thoughts on Purdue basketball just past the midway point of the season? We know what they are. We see what they are. Are you surprised by anything? Do you feel better than you did in the pre-con or in the preseason? Or do you feel like still like, okay, this is kind of biding our time until we can get the taste of our mouth? I know, Anish, I don't think you think that way. Is that correct? Or I don't want to put words
No,
in anybody's
I
mouth.
do feel better about this team than but to be fair, a year ago now, Purdue was 18-1.
Yeah.
And so it was
It's
like it's really hard to say
it's
that
not
you feel
right now.
better than you
It's
were.
you want to see how you feel the final weeks of the regular season that's where you want to see how you feel, I think.
I think this is
I felt pretty bad, by the way, in like middle, late January last year.
No,
yes.
but you felt
Because I saw cracks
February.
forming with the guards.
February, I think you felt bad because the last
Everybody
few
keeps telling me
games,
this. I'm wrong.
the
You're
last
right.
few games, they won the Big Ten tournament and they didn't play a really good game in the Big Ten tournament. Like, I know we've wiped all that out and we didn't care about the
Right.
Big Ten tournament,
Right.
but they looked not good winning those
But it
games.
was foreshadowing.
It was.
I wish
I
we
think-
could see. I wish I had it. I'm sure that one of these advanced stats things has it, but you can see the kind of 3-point shooting through each game. I could pull it up on Basketball Reference, but I'm not going to. I think that's
Purdue's number one in the conference. That's
So
a big. That's a
February-
difference. If you're looking at one thing, that's
February last year is when it started taking the dip. That's
When
when
they
you
fell
saw
off,
the
right?
freshmen hit the wall at the end of February. That's when, and there was no Lance Jones to lean on. We had a good senior transfer guard last year, but he wasn't a defensive, like fast break, all of these kind of everything that Lance Jones is now. I feel better with that element. I feel better with a year. I really do think that this team is as good as last year's team, except a year more of experience and with one
I think they're better than last
with
year.
one significant wound that they're like one significant scar that they all kind of collectively have, which is always good. I do still think that they get rattled. The guards get rattled under pressure. Like if you can double Edey and still keep pressure on the guards, like Purdue's passing out of them really well. Purdue's
We're looking really
finding
good
swing,
tonight.
finding the open three. I mean, yeah, exactly. You hit that skip pass
He
on the
looked good.
3-point arc. When Purdue's playing like they did tonight, it looks great. But man, they have those Nebraska games, and it's not like. But of course you do. Of course you do. It's going to happen. You're not going to go
Right.
undefeated, right? But
Right.
and so I feel a little bit better than I did last year, and that I felt really good last year. It's just I also have a wound. We all also have a wound and a scar that we've got. Right?
When was the last time Purdue lost to a really good team?
Boy, oh boy.
Last year in the Big Ten tournament? Nope.
No, they won the
no,
Big Ten
I
tournament.
mean,
They won.
Sorry,
They beat
sorry,
Penn
the
State.
previous year, like the year before.
That was Iowa, right? In the
Iowa in
championship.
the championship. But
Were they
Iowa
good?
with Murray.
Wow.
Iowa with both of the Murrays.
They were like
Would you call them really good?
They were like a 5. in the
Yeah, they
tournament,
had.
I think.
they
Which, if
had-
I got that right, that's so ill. That's so sick. But
I know it's so
I
stupid.
say
Keegan-
where they were
yeah.
about a 5 that year.
Keegan Murray was on that team. Chris Murray was on that team. Both McCaffreys were there. Bohannon was
So
there.
coming up on 2 years ago.
Yeah,
And that's
22.
even a stretch. Right? They probably lost to Michigan State once that year, and they were that was a pretty good Michigan. Pretty decent, I think.
Lord Garrett, he says Virginia. We were all there.
Well, they lost
Well,
to,
that was a great
I mean,
team.
they lost to IU twice last year, which IU wasn't good.
IU
They
IU
wasn't
wasn't
good.
good last year.
Maryland, Northwestern, both
No,
not
not
good.
good.
Did IU make the
Rutgers,
tournament last
not-
year? They did. They
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
They won one
Then
game.
they
They
lost.
won one
Yeah, they
game.
lost in the Sweet
on,
16 to
come on.
Miami. Yeah.
No. They lost in the 32. They didn't win.
Oh,
two. They
32
won
to
one.
Miami. Yeah. That's
Okay,
right.
okay. 2021-22, they lost to Wisconsin, who went 25-8.
Okay, good.
But let's see if
I'll
there's
count
more
that.
recent.
Okay.
there.
That's good.
22, but that's
2021.
22,
Yeah,
21.
2021,
Like
yeah.
I think.
It's the third of 22.
Well, I
the
guess
third
what
of the year.
I'm getting at there is that when they lose to teams.
I know what you're getting at.
Well,
I know what you're getting
no,
at. Go.
I mean this almost as if you want to try to be positive and spin yourself in the positive
Yeah.
direction, you can say those losses aren't something to be super worried about because it happens. You're going to play 35 games. You're going to lose a couple. You're going to have a couple stinker
Sure.
nights.
Here's my rub, okay? You're gonna lose games, right? But here's the thing. It almost feels like tell me if I'm errant. Anish, you're good at creating a bumper for me when I go off the rails. Okay, tell me if I'm wrong here. But you can have bad games and you can lose the good teams, but they don't do that. They get mentally up for those. That to me makes me think that this is all a mental thing.
It's a lot of mental thing, but on an X's and O's, from an X's and O's perspective, keeping Zach drifting away from the basket. So Zach, whenever Zach is off of 1 foot or drifting away from the basket, he shoots sub 50%. It's.
Did you see? By the way, sidebar. Did you see the play versus Penn State where he had leaned against the Penn State big? Can't remember who it was. And he got his feet wrong, and his one leg was swinging over the ground, and he was trying to find it so he could drive.
It's crazy. I mean, people that big should move, and he rarely moves what I mean? Like he rarely has those moments of uncoordination. But if you can keep Zach off, and you can still pressure the perimeter, you can still pressure the shooters, that is the recipe for it. Right? Smaller teams tend to do that because they overload Zach. So Zach can get comfortable, and then it relies on Purdue's 3-point shooters to shoot. And we're
right. Look at what IU did tonight, by the way. They said we're going to play Zach straight up. They played him man for a big chunk. They got toasted by it, right? It hurt them. When they would drop off, right, they'd say, okay, we're going to try to get him. He would beat their doubles almost every time.
When Ware and Baco are in, you can do that. But when it's only one of them, you're going to get barbecued every time. And so it's like, you know, Woody's a smart enough coach. And so he can draw that up. But I do agree. I mean, like Michael said this in the group chat, I trust Purdue. We're talking around this. Let's talk right about this. You trust Purdue more in an Elite Eight matchup than you do, let's say, earlier in that, right?
Absolutely.
And Purdue gets up, for Big Ten games. It's not that Purdue doesn't get up for them, because Purdue, I think, in the Big Ten, all venues, gets you up. Painter knows, he has the spiel about going on the road in the Big Ten is difficult. Every road game in the Big Ten is a war. But it is those, non-con bad teams that make it the guards in a strange, right? So I don't know. I feel just about as good as I did last year. I think this is a better team than last year.
I feel a lot better because of we all talk about formulas of success, things that earn success in the tournament. Obviously, you got to have a player that's a big time player. Purdue had that last year. They have it this year. You got to have guys. You got to have guys that are. Experienced at the guard spot, and they didn't really have that. Right. This year, they've got that. And so that's the thing. That makes them by default better. If those players wouldn't have gotten any better, it wouldn't matter. Smith is so much better than he was last year, in spite of what we just saw.
Yeah.
I mean, but here's the thing. Interesting. There's a couple interesting things. We were just looking at the stats from tonight's game. If you look at the big three tonight, of course, it's Jones, Lawyer, Edey. Okay, so the formula of having just two guys that can release the pressure when it gets difficult on Edey, that's a big deal. Having Gillis as that third man in the big three is fine. Having Smith as the big man, the third in the big three, you need to have three guys arrive every single game. And that's kind of the big problem they had last year versus FDU. Nobody arrived, right? Nobody could knock down shots. Nobody did anything. Tonight, you had enough. You had just enough. Lawyer didn't play a perfect game. Lawyer played a good game. Jones played a very, very good game.
Gillis
for Jones. That's what I want. That's the perfect game for Jones.
Gillis was good. Morton played his role.
Solid.
Yeah. You had a good
man. The vitriol towards Morton on Twitter just absolutely kills me. I got to tell you,
I don't know what you expect.
And we hear it a little bit here.
People expect he's.
I don't either.
He's the eighth man off the bench, and he's told to be. He's good enough to be a starter on many. He's good enough to be a starter on other teams, not on Purdue, but on other. He could have transferred out this year and been a starter.
He'd start at Penn State.
At high major
I'm watching
programs.
Penn State right now beat Wisconsin. He would start.
Do you think that? Do you think that Shrewsbury would kill for somebody, both skills wise and mentally
at Notre Dame
on that trash fire of a Notre Dame team? I mean, I bet he's wishing for Morton after all of this.
Yep.
And so it's like he's a good enough player to start at a high major thing, and he's like that eighth, ninth man off the bench, along
Yep.
with like Colvin and all of these guys. And he comes up with steals. He's long. He defends. He's kind of the breaking class in case of emergency. Him and Heidi are the kind of length kind of defenders off
It's
the
such an
bench.
embarrassment of riches, right? That
It
you
really
can go
is.
to those guys. That Heidi's just down the bench.
I mean,
And-
Caleb
and more-
first.
Caleb
Caleb-
first.
Caleb.
Talk about a guy
first.
who could be starting places.
It's like this
And
level of depth is
both
like-
he and TK are the same thing to me. They'll have one or two moments in the game that they're in. It doesn't matter if it's a good or a bad game. Both of them will have moments where I'm like, dag nab, that guy's impressive. Just the way he moves without the ball, then the way he goes and finishes, the way he crashes the board, something about him. Both those guys are crazy athletic for their size. I think we take it for granted because we're so used to seeing a behemoth that can just score at will. Those guys have to work hard for their buckets like most 6'10", 6'11" big men do, but they're pretty damn quick. TKR put a guy on spin cycle
Oh,
tonight
that was
versus
so
the
great.
IU that holy
That was a
moly.
beautiful. He was
And
so
that's
fast.
kind of what First has done this year. Off the dribble, First has been good. One good dribble, one good quick step, and he gets to the glass. They're both impressive guys.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of kind of differences from last year, it is the guards taking a step forward. It is having a third guard that you can depend on with the ball, both defensively and with the ball in Jones, and especially that fast break component. That was not a part of Purdue's game plan last year.
Right.
And even this
Right.
year, it's kind of strange to see everybody bolt. Like you expect to see Purdue kind of slow up. I mean, the difference in pace, like if you're looking at KenPom, the difference in pace between last year and this year in terms of average possession length, going from the shortest, average tempo, going from, the lowest tempo.
Do you know, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, like where did they rank last
So
year versus where did they
I
rank
just
this
have
year?
it this year in terms of pace. Tempo, they were 324th, which is virtually
Okay.
last.
Right.
And this year they are like 106. They're average, like they're an average tempo team.
That's a big difference.
And they're an upper.
It's a big difference because Painter is so methodical generally in the sets. So that's gonna slow you down.
But it is,
and I would say that all comes to Lance Jones.
Yeah, that's what
I
I was
mean,
gonna
it is,
say.
and even Braden Smith is now
Yeah,
like
Braden Smith.
he's okay running, right?
With
You have
with the circles.
And so if Edey is in foul, if and when Edey is in foul trouble, you have these bigs off the bench who are 1 year kind of more comfortable, right? And then the other part of this is that if it becomes either a war of attrition or foul trouble, Purdue has the advantage over pretty much any team in the country. It really comes down to shots, though. Purdue's a better.
Yep.
I mean, like J Money. Why? It's the Moneyball quote. Like if they're good shooters, why don't they shoot good? Like they're better. They're more consistent this year. Now that hit a brick wall in February, so you want to see that push through through the Big Ten season. I don't think that'll be a problem this year, but that's what to watch here. Like, does the pace stay up? Does the pace stay up? Does the offensive rating stay up? Does the 3-point shot stay up in February? Those are the things to watch. I think.
Purdue only took 19 threes tonight, which I find interesting. And Smith was 0 of 6. So
Yeah.
they were 7 of 19, shot 37% from deep, and that's with an 0 for that I don't think Smith will usually do.
Smith shot 0 of 6 today. That seems
0 of 6 from deep.
Wow.
2 of 14
all
from the
right.
floor. That's not going to normally happen.
No.
I mean, even after he misses a few, usually one's going to go in. But you flip it around, and Lawyer's 4 of 4 from deep, and that's pretty good. So if it's all about whether you deploy them right. Like people keep talking about how First can come in and Heidi can come in and Jacob and Wren can come in and you got to deploy them right. If somebody's not, if Lawyer's having one of those games where he's going to put up a 2 and not play any defense, you got to know when to pull him, right? And then again,
that's one thing with
Colvin.
Lawyer specifically annoys me more than anyone. The way Paint uses him, the way I don't want to say disciplines him, but the guys at Sleepers had a big problem with it. They said, how can you hold Lawyer to this standard? I'm like, you have to hold Lawyer to that standard, in my opinion. And it's all defense. To me, it's not offense. He's gonna be the same guy offense. He's gonna make shots when he's open. The problem is a lot of teams have decided we'll take him away, right? They'll say, okay, we're not gonna give him an open jump.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's what I would do. Absolutely.
Right.
I would stick.
Right. Because he's an easy guy to take away, by the way. You don't have to put your best defender on him. You just have to have somebody on him.
Length. You put length on him. I mean,
Yep.
length, and he's actually gotten a lot better at finishing, like driving and finishing through traffic, or at least getting to the like not shying away from contact. Right. That is a place where he's actually like he's improved. Right. But yeah, I mean, like if I were you pressure Edey, pressure later.
Good night.
You pressure Edey and you take away Lawyer and you make the other guys beat you. Now here's the thing: is that Lance Jones could like Lance Jones could beat you, but it is what it is.
Is he all right?
He's an old man.
He's a
Sorry, I lost all video for a second. It's okay. Everything's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, Purdue should run away with the Big Ten this year. But
Hey, man,
it's
still behind.
Gotta see. You've got to.
So what do you how many losses wins the Big Ten in your opinion? 4?
4 or 5.
How many losses? 4. You could have
5 is
losses
15 and
and
5.
stuff. And
So
I think
That was your number before the season, Jay. That's what you talked about.
Yeah.
I think last year Purdue was 15 and 5 and ran away with the Big Ten.
I mean, you can play the game, right? We can take a look at Wisconsin here. So I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but they have a lot of games. I'm not going to go through this, but they have to play. They got to play. Let's see. You start looking. They don't have a lot of games you worry.
No, they
about.
don't. No, they don't. I
At
looked at that
Nebraska versus Purdue. Maybe at Iowa. Maybe versus Ohio State. Maybe at IU. Maybe versus Illinois. And at Purdue.
There
think
aren't.
Could come down to the last game.
That's a tough out.
Could come down to senior night. Could come to senior night at Purdue, last game of the year.
I would not like to be Wisconsin if that's the case. I would not want any part of that. Senior night at Purdue this year is going to be
Zach Edey's last
madhouse. It's going to be great. That's a ticket I don't have and I wish I had right now. I mean, that's
just saying.
wonderful.
He's just putting it out
Just
there.
saying. Just throwing it out to ether.
Sure
right
would
now.
love to be at the game.
I would love to be there. That's going to be a great one. That's going to be a fun one.
That would be fun if it came down to that, because I don't know about you guys. I don't want to speak for you guys. I don't really care if they win the Big Ten. I'd like to. But
I know, but senior night and that scenario, that sounds
no.
fun.
In that scenario, yes, then I would want it. I'm saying
hate
if
Wisconsin. I
Me too.
hate them a lot.
Me too.
Given that there's no other, there's nobody else in the Big Ten, and for Purdue to lose the Big Ten, it would mean that there's something off, given the quality of the Big Ten now. That makes me want it, but not because of anything else. The other part of this is that we went through the Jaden year, where it was an incredible year. That was an incredible team. They didn't win anything. The Super Seniors year, incredible team, memorable team, amazing team, didn't win anything. It's like you want to at least rack up things that Zach Edey
These guys
wins,
have all they've racked up things. The only thing they need to, I know we hate.
I know.
They've got to rack up something in March to really be.
That's it. That's why it'd be nice. It'd be cherry on top. It'd be the thing that you use. It's like the LeBron arguments for all of these side quests that he's doing to be the greatest of all time, right? Like for Zach Edey to win another, back-to-back Big Tens, like that is an argument for him to be greatest Purdue basketball player.
So who are the top 3 all time in the NBA, Anish? I know you have top 3. Give them quick.
Kareem, Kareem, LeBron, Mike, in some order, in whatever order you.
I was gonna say.
No. I think he wanted it in order.
I want an order.
I mean, LeBron, Mike, Kareem.
Yes, agreed.
What did you say? Sorry, what was that?
LeBron, Mike, Kareem.
Oh boy, that's awful.
How's that awful?
It's awful. LeBron's not number 1.
Yes, he is. He's the best basketball playing human of
That's
all time.
asinine.
Yes, he is.
You're a jackass. Both of you guys.
He's Magic and Michael combined into one player. Yes.
Oh my gosh! No,
It's pretty tough.
Jordan.
I know you're a big Michael Jordan fan, so maybe that's
big Chicago fan.
Yeah, I love Chicago.
Love Chicago. Anything Chicago.
That tells you how wrong you guys are. If I put Jordan out there, but I do love you having Kareem in there. I think having it's this is the discussion, right? It's the same thing you're just talking. That's why
being a college fan, it is tough to say that there are greater basketball careers than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had. I mean, like it's like Kareem and Oscar Robertson. It's like I don't.
Yeah, that's
I don't
another one. I
under-
love that he's one of the
So
greatest players ever.
this-
Nobody ever
we're-
mentions him.
We're at 90 minutes. The rant that everybody has a rant that they have.
By the way, I always put
tucked
Bill
away.
Russell in my top 5. Always.
I
have
mean,
Russell in my
so
top 5.
there are actually 5 legitimate answers. Russell and Wilt, you could also
Yep.
put up on there. If you named any one of those 5 players, you are correct. It's fine. Anybody outside, it's a little bit, thing. But like any one of those 5, you're good.
Awful news out of the Penn State game. O'Boyle is down with a thigh bruise. It looks like
Oh no, he doesn't rule.
he's walking it off though.
One of my rants that I have at any point you could stop me is that Oscar Robertson had the greatest basketball career of anybody.
The
from
triple
state of
doubles. Is that
Indiana.
what you're going to talk about?
Anybody from the state of Indiana, Oscar Robertson is number 1 in their career. Like in
Whoa.
high school, college, pros.
I
Oscar
love
Robertson.
it. I love that.
You
Because
could
that doesn't sound offensive, and then you're like, wait a second.
wait a
that's
second.
really
This Larry
offensive.
Joe. Wait a minute.
Exactly.
Larry Joe exists. Yeah,
And
I
I
know.
love it.
I know what I'm saying.
I love it.
Big O in high school, in college, in the pros. There's nobody could stand up to Oscar Robertson's full length of a career except
Yeah.
for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Those are the 2. So that is my rant for minute 90. I think we're
No,
wrapping
that's
up.
great. That's good stuff. We didn't mention AJ's, by the way, yet. I don't think. I know you have a bumper,
could
but I
you-
like to put it in the show to bake it
What
in.
could you get it in?
Heck yeah.
I don't bake anything in. It's always fried at AJ's, and
Yeah,
it's the
deep fried.
pretzels. Give me those damn fried pretzels. One thing that's underrated, I never talk about, by the way, at AJ's, is their waffle fries with the cheese sauce or the Chipotle ranch.
Yes.
I don't even know if Chipotle ranch is
Underrated.
on the menu. Ask for
Underrated.
it. Dip the fries. They are freaking crunchy. And for me, I can't stop eating them. Like, I can't do it. If they're in front of me, I'll just continue. You bring more,
I want some
I will
AJ's
eat
right now.
15 pounds of waffle fries
Remember
with Chipotle ranch.
when you're at
Eat
AJ's,
AJ's.com.
order your vegetables, get some mac and cheese bites. It'll be good. It'll be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
The mac and
it's gonna
cheese
be
bites I
delicious.
was craving. I was seeing somebody make some mac and cheese bites on like my YouTube reels, and I was like, "Oh, AJ's, I miss you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
miss you so
exactly.
bad."
Yeah, you walk in like Greg
exactly.
McManus. You walk in, you yell boiled. Just see what happens. We don't. It's not. It doesn't mean anything. But do it.
They'll be
yell
like,
at it.
oh, these guys
Oh,
again.
boy. They've got. I got to say, every time I go in there and meet a new server, they're all great.
Yeah.
They're all great. They are great. Great staff. EatAJ's.com. That's AJ's by the fire station. What my dad says. Burgers.
On Vine. AJ's on Vine.
I know. But my dad. I like his descriptor is good though.
I like what the actual sponsor told us they wanted us to say. But
Burgers,
we should go with
beef.
what your dad.
Burgers, beef, beer. That's AJ's by the fire station.
They said on Vine. But that's
They
fine.
said on
We'll
Vine.
do it your way.
I do it both ways. I do
bet you do.
I do it all ways. Yeah. I guarantee my dad didn't get this far into the show. Yeah. So, final thoughts on the night. It looks like everything's.
Super fun.
It's a
the
privilege.
best.
It's a privilege for those fans in Bloomington to see Zach.
To see the greatest player in the
to
nation.
see the one of the greatest college basketball players of all time.
That
in their
fan base
confines. It's a
deserved to
privilege.
see him at his peak.
Absolutely. So I'm glad that they got to see it.
Adam says they make 10 gallons of ranch a day. And I think when I was there for the tournament selection, I pretty much ate
Had most of that. Yeah.
7 or 8 because they didn't have any students on campus, so I had to help them out. I had to help them get rid of it. So
I went to AJ's at least three times during football season. And it was
they're going to say
like,
during one visit. That's why I started laughing.
no, I think it might. I was going to say I might have gone twice during one visit,
Right.
so it was at least 3. It might have been twice in one of the weekends I was there, and we finished up our last visit after the IU football game with all of us getting a table there in the corner, and that was good.
That was
times.
fun. That was a
Good
great
times,
night.
memories.
Great afternoon.
I hope you do another show from there. I think that'd be a great idea.
I would like
don't know
to.
if that-
I would like
if
to.
that'll
We got to
work
see how
out,
the
but,
schedules fall. All comes down to the kids' spring break, and
Yep.
so yeah, I LBD does not have his final decision yet. We are trying to figure out what's going to be. We got some meetings set up.
I
with,
assume he'll have a table at AJ's and hats on the
hats.
table.
Yep.
Right.
No, but there's some like Anish. These are things that make sense to you for multiple reasons. I don't think they even had these when Jay and I were in college. I'm not trying to be funny. Honors colleges and stuff like that. They help you get a better dorm room. They help you get a different type of diploma. He's invited to parties that you were invited to that I will never be invited to with his grades and things like that. So he's trying to figure out what he's going to do, but he's thrown a little wrench into it recently, talking about the Air Force Academy, and he's way late on it. So now he's saying, what if I tried to transfer over there? I'm like, dude. So anyway, he's a great kid, and he's a Boilermaker at heart, even if he doesn't go there. Three somebodies are pulling for him. Say that.
I mean, like, well, yeah, we could exert a pressure campaign if we had to. No, we wouldn't do that. We would.
No. We've made 2 visits for the top 2 in the next month. We have meetings. It's not visits now. It's meetings with different people. And I don't understand any of this. Nobody wanted to talk to me as a senior in high school, one-on-one. They're like, okay, you're in. Congratulations. That's as good as you get. But with him, when they want you to come, they set up meetings. That's what I found out. Nobody ever asked me for a meeting. So, but
that was an enjoyable evening.
It's always fun. And I am really glad. I will say this. I am very happy to get together with you guys. I know we meet and we talk via text and phone, whatever, voice memo, but it is great to do a handsome hour, an impromptu kind of quasi-impromptu handsome hour with you guys.
It's a pleasure.
Okay. And thank you to everybody for tuning. Yeah, the NIL is important for LBD, no doubt. And thank you guys for tuning in. The lively conversation as you guys enjoyed yourself and didn't care about what we were saying. That's special stuff. Purdue is now, 16-2? Is that correct? They're number 2 in the.
Just say it.
Okay, sure. 16-2, number 2 in the nation. And there's lots of basketball to be played, lots of fun to be had. It has been a great night with all of you guys. I love you guys.